with this elephantine corpus of papyri, the name Sariah as a daughter of somebody was listed.
This is so cool.
I think it's kind of sometimes faith-fulfilling just to get a visual. So it's another clear bullseye from the archaeological record. I would just say there's archaeological evidence for names in the Book of Mormon.
Is if you carefully look at that suffix in the Book of Mormon, it actually has an Egyptian meaning.
Therefore,
Alma 16:5 has this name in the Book of Mormon.
You know what? I don't believe that Joseph Smith was just making things up, because that doesn't exactly just roll off the tongue.
If these are names that trace themselves back to that time period, they should be able to possibly, it would be astounding and an amazing evidence in the Book of Mormon if they would show up in the archaeological record, and they do.
All of the scriptural references used in this episode will be brought to you by scripturenotes.com. For a free trial to Scripture Notes, please visit the link in the description. Oh wait, hold on. What is this one again? This is WardRadio 571. It's a WardRadio exclusive. Ooh, I'm excited. This is awesome. And you're saying that you've got a list of names from the Book of Mormon that now show up in the old world, which is significant because all the archaeologists and all the scientists have said there could not be any transoceanic contact. But you're saying, hey, no, I've connected the dots. You've got Book of Mormon names that show up in the old world, and you brought the receipts. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's been some great research that's been done over the years on Book of Mormon names and Old World archaeology. And today what we're going to do is I've actually gone into the corpus of the archaeological record to bring out some images based on those reports that nobody's ever seen before. So there will be some that people know, some we've even talked about on this program before.
Okay.
But there's going to be a couple that, besides the people that published this, the public haven't seen these and haven't seen them online, and we're going to bring them out for the first time.
Oh, this is cool. This is exciting. This is exciting.
So,
okay.
And the background basically is in the Book of Mormon, and we've talked about this before. This is not new. There's 337 proper names in the Book of Mormon, right? 188 of them are original, which means in 1830, there was no record for these names anywhere except for within the Book of Mormon text. So from a critical aspect, you would say, oh, well, these are something that were either made up, if this is something along the lines of pious fraud, or from the believer's standpoint, these are real people that have a heritage and a root tied to the old world, tied back to Jerusalem, tied back to where the Nephites came from. And so if these are names that trace themselves back to that time period, they should be able to possibly, it would be astounding and an amazing evidence in the Book of Mormon if they would show up in the archaeological record, and they do. For example, and if you bring up the HDMI, this is one we've done before.
Gotcha. Yeah.
All right, is the seal of Mulek, right?
Gotcha.
We're going to look at three different forms of how names show up in the archaeological record in the old world. One is going to be through seals. The other are the clay impressions of those seals. So you have the booyah, you have the clay impressions, and wait, what did we say?
Booyah! Yeah.
And then we have the ostraka, which is the ceramic sherds with writing on them. Okay, so you have those three different things. This seal is the provenance is not totally clear, but it says Melchiahu ben Hamelech, which is basically a reference of if Mulek is a shortened version of the name Melchiahu, and there's some Hebrew play on words that would be tied to that, which we've done a full podcast on before in the past, that this is a potential son of King Zedekiah that is referenced in the Book of Mormon that eventually migrated to the New World. And so there's a seal that is possibly his authentic seal that he had with his name on it. So it's a remarkable archaeological evidence of a Book of Mormon name that's in the old world, right?
Okay, awesome. I'm digging.
So we'll pull up a couple others. Let's go, if you pull up in the Book of Mormon.
Okay, like on Scripture Notes or something?
Yeah.
Okay, pull up on the Book of Mormon.
Go to Alma chapter 19, verse 16. We're going to have one of the few women that are named in the Book of Mormon.
Okay.
And this is the name of Abish or Abish, the name of the Lamanitish woman who was servant to King Lamoni's queen, right?
Okay, cool. Yeah, right here.
So you can pull up her name from the Book of Mormon.
What verse is it?
19.
Okay.
Or chapter 19, verse 16.
Chapter 19, verse 16, right here. And it came to pass that they did call on the name of the Lord in their might, even until they all had fallen to the earth, save it were one of the Lamanitish women whose name was Abish, or Abish, however you want to pronounce it. She was having been converted unto the Lord for many years on account of a remarkable vision of her father. Okay, interesting. Now you say that was previously lampooned as an out of context, anachronistic invention of Joseph Smith and didn't show up in the old world until you found it? Are you bringing receipts on Abish?
I didn't find it myself, but here,
Okay.
before we pull up the actual, let me give a shout out to the people that put some of these names together.
Okay.
And first identified in the archaeological record where they were.
Okay.
So there's an excellent article. It's a little bit older that was done by John Trevednis, who's since passed away, and Matthew
Okay.
Roper, called Book of Mormon Names Attested in Ancient Hebrew Inscriptions. You can download that article
Okay.
tomorrow.
Okay.
And so they had a great list, and they were sourcing things in the Old World Archaeological Record. What I did was I took that and I actually went into the archaeological record, went into their sources, and pulled up the photographs from the sources that they were citing, so we could actually see these impressions, see these artifacts for the first time, maybe publicly.
Okay,
So-
cool. All right.
Yeah. So if you pull up the screen here,
Okay. Yo.
yeah.
Okay, go ahead, keep going.
So this is not a Book of Mormon scholars report here on the screen, but you see the name Abish
Yeah, I see it. Okay.
on the screen.
Yeah.
And then if you keep looking to the right, Cardin, you're going to see the actual artifact with that name on it.
Ooh, there it is. Yes.
And the provenance is there, where it came from, and the rendering of it being a woman's name from the time period dating back to, the old world, located back in the old world, and being a Hebrew name from that area. So a pretty remarkable archaeological evidence of the name Abish in the old world. So awesome, right? And these are tiny, right? These are the size of a dime. So
Okay,
just super
yeah.
small, but super cool. So Abish is a name from the old world.
Okay, awesome.
There's another one that people have probably seen before, and this is the name Sariah. I have a screenshot of an image rendering from the papers at Elephantine. There was a Jewish colony that migrated into Egypt. There's a corpus of letters that were produced from a myriad of cultures, but within the Elephantine papyri, there was a series of Jewish letters. The Sariah, another woman's name, right? Nephi's mom in the Book of Mormon. Originally, there was no record of that name in the Old World. The IAH is a root of Jehovah. And so the actual rendering in Hebrew of Sariah would be Jehovah is Prince. But on multiple letters, actually two, with this Elephantine corpus of papyri, the name Sariah as a daughter of somebody was listed within the record. So you can pull up the screen.
Yeah.
This was highlighted by Neil Rapley in some of his publications that are through the Interpreter Foundation.
Hey, good job, Neil.
And Jasmine, I think, is the artist that actually created this image from the papyri themselves, which is really cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Rock on.
So highlighted in red.
Good work, Jasmine.
Yeah.
Good work.
Highlighted in red is the name Sariah, and it names that she's the daughter of, and that's part of the archaeological findings for the name Sariah.
Wow, that is so cool.
Now, Alma, which is obviously a super popular name of multiple people within the Book of Mormon,
Yeah.
it was originally critiqued, right? Because Alma is a female Greek name.
Oh, that's why it was getting panned.
So it was
All right,
getting
okay.
panned because it's an obvious female name. And so the critique was, well, how could somebody be so dumb to pull the name Alma, which
It's
is
like
obviously
calling
a female
my
name.
son Jennifer. It's not like my son Renee, which is actually a unisex name, though it's generally female. There can be male Renees. There can be male Courtneys. There can be female Justins, for example. But there's no male Jennifers running around.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Joseph Smith is saying, "Oh, Jennifer the prophet." You're like, this is similar to that.
So there's a couple of archaeological findings now. Actually, brand new, just off the press article on the Interpreter Foundation that just got released like within the last week that Neil Rapley again did, because he does some great work in searching through some of the archaeological records from the old world. Like that's a focus of Neil's, and he does a really nice job with that.
Okay, rock on.
Okay, there's one that I brought up that's a little bit older, but this new release has several additional ones besides this.
Okay.
And the one I'm bringing up is one that's been known for a few years, but this one says Alma ben Yehuda, which would mean Alma, son of Yehuda, which of course is referencing a male name in Hebrew.
Okay.
And
wow.
so here we have the actual papyri for that, and an archaeological evidence of Alma being a male name from the correct lineage, from the correct area, tied to, now we can tie that not just to the Greek, but actually to ancient Hebrew.
Okay, rock on. I'm digging.
So, and that one's the one that's highlighted, the actual phrasing there on the image that I have up on the board. If you pull that up.
Gotcha.
It's going to be the one that is a little bit lighter in color there.
I see.
That's intentional,
Okay.
just to let everybody see it. I know
it's not like somebody just took an eraser to the papyri.
exactly. Yeah. Let's bright. No, that's digitally just brightened up, because not everybody sees these images. So it's just, I think it's kind of sometimes faith fulfilling just to get a visual, not just read the report, right?
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
I think it's just super fun. For me, I'm a visual person, so
I dig.
yeah. Now, Chemish in Omni, so if you want to bring up Omni chapter 1,
Okay.
8 through 10.
Gotcha. So we're in the Book of Mormon, Omni, chapter 1, 8 through 10. Hit it!
Okay, so this one's actually pretty prevalent in the archaeological record. There's the Ammonite god Chemosh, so there's a clear linguistic tie to this in the old world, and we'll bring up a couple of the artifacts that would show that. But go ahead, let's look at those verses, because this is a name of somebody, a guardian and author of the plates who descends from Jacob in the Book of Mormon.
Okay, it says, "And it came to pass that I did deliver the plates unto my brother Chemish. Now I, Chemish, write the few things that I write in the same book with my brother. For behold, I saw the last which he wrote, that he wrote it with his own hand, and he wrote it in the day that he delivered them unto me. And after this manner we kept the records, for it is according to the commandment of our fathers, and I make an end." By the way, we need to bring that back. Like when I am reprimanding my children next time, I just want to be telling them, like, you will clean up your room before you go out. You better pick up the dog poop before you get on the Nintendo Switch. I make an end of my commandments. I just think, thus saith the father of this household and the owner of the title and deed of the home. Like we really need to bring this back. Like that's true patriarchy right there. You know what I'm saying? That is just real, unmitigated patriarchy, and I love it. And then he continues and says, "Behold, I, Abinadam, am the son of Chemish. Behold, it came to pass that I saw much war and contention between my people, the Nephites and the Lamanites, and I, with my own sword, have taken the lives of many of the Lamanites in defense of my brethren." Ooh, brutal. So yeah, son of Chemish, who is son of...
Abinadam is the son,
brother.
Abinadam's the son
exactly.
of, and yeah. So if we pull up, there are 2 seal impressions from the Levant that have that name impressed on it.
Okay.
And so it's another clear bullseye from the archaeological record of an old world evidence of a Book of Mormon name.
So this is Chemish.
Yes, correct.
And it's not the old, what did you say, the Amorite god?
Well, that's clearly the tie, because there are no vowels in Hebrew.
So
it's literally the exact same rendering in the consonants. All right, so this is the impression with that name perfectly,
But then couldn't you also go so far as saying the Chumash Indians in the American Southwest are the same as Chemish, or is the same as the god of the Amorites? Couldn't you kind of just play those linguistic games to draw those conclusions?
No, I don't think you can take red herrings like that without a written record to really establish that. I mean, archaeologically, there would be no way to establish that. Like, that would be the same thing as like some of the critiques of the Book of Mormon that cherry pick certain names within the Book of Mormon and look within like the Great
also,
Lakes
they're not
region
claiming.
And try and
they're also not trying to
dismantle
claim
the Book of
it.
Mormon. Yeah, I don't think that's the methodology we're doing here. I think there's a broader scope of archaeological evidence that's actually compiling upon itself, and together in the conglomerate, it shows a strength of argument to make.
Although, hey, dear, if any Chumash people want to get in on the LDS and the Bicker Tonight Book of Mormon party, isn't that part of like Brian Stubbs' Udo Aztecan work? Did the Chumash, like, they're from the American Southwest, right? Or is that where they were displaced to?
Which ones?
Well, isn't the Chumash? That's one of the indigenous Californian tribes, right? And being part of California, if I'm not mistaken, that would have been part of Brian Stubbs' Udo Aztecan work, right? Yeah.
There were some tribes in California that were part of Udo Aztecan, but not.
Yeah, there's the local
not all of them.
Tataviam tribe. No, but look, what is the Chumash tribe known for?
So
and the Chumash people are the Native American people of the central and southern coastal regions of California. Yeah, they're the ones that ended up being out in Catalina Island from Kern Valley all the way down to the Channel Islands. Yeah, but their total population was only 2,000 to 5,000. Dang it.
How do they afford to live there?
There's some people that might say, well, no, actually, that's a really interesting question. And when you look at the archaeology of the Channel Islands and the Catalina Islands, it's super interesting stuff that's gone on there. It's I could spend a lifetime in those islands. So anyway, keep going, my man.
So in Alma chapter 16, verse 5, if you pull that up, we have it looks like a very simple name, Aha, A-H-A.
Okay.
And so if you pull up Alma 16:5, you'll see that within the Book of Mormon. Originally, like Hugh Nibley said, that was maybe meant warrior in Egyptian, but the name is now attested in several early inscriptions as a Hebrew name, and it's like a hypochoristic, like that means like a shortened version of the name. You know how Josh, my name is a shortened version. My full name's Joshua, but a lot of people call me Josh, and that's a shortened version. In the old world, like in early times, some of the shortened names, when they're engraved or inscribed, that would be they call that hypochoristic. And so that's happening here with this name. It's a hypochoristic based on the word brother, and in longer form, you see it in a couple times in inscriptions, and there's literally renderings of it as Aha in the old world.
So what's the scripture? I mean, what's the scripture we're looking at? Therefore,
Alma 16:5 has this name in the Book of Mormon.
Okay, so it says, therefore, he had been appointed chief captain of the armies of the Nephites, and his name was Zoram, and he had two sons, Lehi and Aha. Oh, interesting.
Aha, we found it.
Yeah, excellent. So Aha ends up being here.
There's an ostraka, which, again, ceramic with writing on it on the left, and there's a seal impression, a clay impression from a stamp seal on the right. And so both are well provenanced, and the sources there are underneath, so you can actually see that name in the archaeological record back in the Levant, back in the Jerusalem area, the Palestine area.
Wow. Okay. This is so cool. I am loving this, my man. Keep going.
Yeah,
keep going.
Sounds good. Let's go to, and honestly, there's a bunch that I didn't even pull up, but let's go to.
Do we got the WardRadio exclusives coming up?
Absolutely. Well, you are looking at some of the ones we've already shown, like Aha, Kamash, like those aren't ones that have really floated around the internet at all in any image. Like I've pulled those out of the archaeological record showed the references for him. They're in the articles, but the images weren't in the articles. So
Okay, I was going to say, I think I'd heard of
those.
Aha, but I'd never seen the actual picture.
Exactly right. So that's the exclusive, is actually seeing the artifact or seeing a drawing of the artifact for the first time. So
let's go back to that then. That's a good one.
Yeah, sure.
Emblazon that one.
So let's
on
go
your
back.
minds.
Yeah. So this one, Kimosh or
and by the way, free Ward Radio onesie, and Ward Radio merch for the entire family, for the first family that names their son Aha. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right there. I will make a special shirt that says, I am Aha, son of blank, like Dave. You know what I'm saying? I am Aha, son of Dave Smith. That would be so absolutely epic. All right, keep going.
Yeah, so here's two of the exclusive that we were looking at for Aha.
Oh, that's cool,
Yeah,
man.
so pretty neat.
Okay,
Pretty
so
neat.
there's more.
Yep,
I want to
yep.
see more. Keep going.
All right, so we're going to go to Hymni, which, if, I'm not quizzing anybody on the Book of Mormon, but, one of the four sons of Mosiah, one of our famous missionaries, the four sons of Mosiah. Hymni is one of those four sons. He does the famous mission to the Lamanites, right? Mm-hmm. And so you find that name all over the place in the Book of Mormon, Mosiah 27:34, all referencing the same man. Alma 22:35, 23:1, 25:17, 27:19, 31:6. So it's a prominent name from a prominent missionary in the Book of Mormon. And this one's not an exclusive, except I got a better drawing from the corpus that would be an exclusive. So on the left was an image that was within the publication that Trevednis did. And then on the right is a drawing of that's in the corpus of the archaeological record.
Wow. And this means Hymni.
Yeah, so there's symbols. Forget the winged. There's an actual inscription with the characters around the legs of the impression there. So you see like almost like a Y there. There's a little Y there. There's a little ladder there. There's one right between the legs.
Yes.
Those are the three symbols that make up the name.
Yes, I see
the characters that make up the name.
And if we pull up scripture notes right here, I see here it is in verse 6. Therefore he took Ammon and Aaron and Omner and Hymni he did leave in the church in Zarahemla. And now you're saying, boom shakalaka, this
I'll pull it up
is
again.
what,
Sorry. I'll pull it up again.
Yeah, this is what Hymni looks like in those three inscriptions in between the legs.
Yeah, probably reading right to left.
Yeah, okay. That's so cool, man. That is just awesome. Okay.
All right, I got one more for today. And so we'll have gone through about, I don't know, how many names? A couple of them. Yeah, 5, 6 names. There's others that we could do. But one more for today is not the most common one, but there's like Mathani and Mathaniah.
Okay.
All right, so these are both names that are found on the Elephantine papyri.
Okay.
And they're in the longer form that occurs in some of the Lachish letters that are written just before, just a few years after Lehi leaves Jerusalem.
And what's the scripture? I want to look up scripture.
These are, I believe, disciples of Christ in third. These are names of disciples of Christ in 3rd Nephi.
Oh, cool.
So you might want to do a quick search of like Mathani on a Book of Mormon search. It should come up in 3rd Nephi if I'm remembering right.
How do you spell Mathani?
Mathoni.
Okay.
So Mathani and Mathaniah are both names of disciples, I think.
Well, we're doing it right here, and it just came in Book of Mormon, 3rd Nephi 19:4.
There we go.
All
yeah,
right.
that makes sense.
Pull that one up, and it says the following, and it came to pass that on the morrow when the multitude was gathered together, behold, Nephi and his brother whom he had raised from the dead, whose name was Timothy, and also his son, whose name was Jonas, and also Mathani or Mathoni, if you want to say it's like Moroni or Mathoni, and Mathaniah, his brother, and Kumen and Kumenon Nunai. Wow, geez. You know what? I don't believe that Joseph Smith was just making things up, because that doesn't exactly just roll off the tongue, you know? So anyway, yeah.
Poor Oliver, right? Poor Oliver writing these down on the original manuscript. And then like, I can just imagine these names being read off and him just thinking, what, you know? So, but actually these are quite common. So before you pull it up, I'll just go through a couple of notes, right? So there's actually Mathani appears to be hypochoristic of Mathaniah. So these brothers actually essentially have like almost the identical name. One's just like a shortened version of the other.
It's like the twins named Mike and Michael.
Exactly right. And then so you find these on a 7th century BC wine decanter, on 6 seals, on 7 booyah, and you know, all of them, like most of these are dating around from the time of Lehi. So I'm going to pull up just one of the actually fully fledged ceramics that this shows up on, because this is again something that hasn't been published anywhere that most people could read them unless they're reading the actual archaeological publications. So Mathaniah is written on that piece of ceramic, on that jar, on the inscription there. So
wow, that's cool. And it's again read from right to left.
Yep.
So interesting. Okay, I like it. Now, for anybody, before they pan that and say, well, what's the chances of one being hypochoristic, you called it?
Yeah, hypochoristic just being a shortened form of the name. You find both in the archaeological record.
There was a family in the ward I grew up in where Kim married Kimmer.
Ooh.
Kim and Kimmer, let's call them Kim and Kimmer. And what's funny is their name was an alliteration. I won't out them here. They wouldn't really care, but also I don't need them to receive hate mail. You know, but let's say their last name was Carson. It was like Kim and Kimmer Carson. And it was just like, wow, that is like, your monograms must be awesome. You can all just share everything, you know?
And the connection to Hebrew, like Mathaniah, it corresponds to the Hebrew name Mattaniah, which is actually the birth name of Zedekiah. So this is actually a name that is tied to the Bible from 2 Kings chapter 24, verse 17. Zedekiah is born Mattaniah.
Whoa, really?
Mattaniah. Yeah, so that's something that the Book of Mormon is actually, this is a Book of Mormon name that's found in the Bible, except for the hypochoristic form, which is also attested archaeologically. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so not only... Okay, so I could see how a cynic might want to say, oh, well, Joseph Smith was just copying the most obscure and unknown names from the Book of Mormon and trying to, you know, enforce his fraud.
Except he correctly
guessed
a shortened version of the name that's found in the archaeological record as well.
And nobody knew about when he was doing it.
Correct. Yep.
Oh,
you got it.
Wow. Geez, this is good. Okay.
So that's what I brought today for that, just as a fun run through of a couple names from the Book of Mormon that tie to archaeology that is known from the Old World, which is a fun connection to make for the Book of Mormon.
Dude, this is awesome. Jerry, what do you got to say, bro?
Well, one interesting thing on the ha is if you carefully look at that suffix in the Book of Mormon, it actually has an Egyptian meaning of like...
Yeah, bring it out. So what is some of your...
It means a lot of men,
show?
but it's also the people that are named that, at least the ones that we describe what they do, are military leaders.
Interesting.
So it's almost kind of like maybe there's some inclination of the ha meaning in the Egyptian implying a military title, other than, you know, it has a meaning in Hebrew too, right? So,
yeah.
And then the other comment on Mulek, Skousen has actually said, well, maybe it's Mulok. But that's
Muloch, right, from the original manuscript.
But that's clearly also a Hebrew. I mean, either or, you've still got the same Old World name. So.
Wow, so you're saying aha was oftentimes an Egyptian term that delineated a military leader?
Well, ha means a great number or implying over people. So that's an Egyptian word.
For leadership, shall we say.
Yeah, and so it's kind of interesting when you look at all of the... I just did that and says, hey, all the ones that we actually have know, like Mathaniah, we don't know what he did other than being a disciple, right? But the ones that we know were military leader, the ones that do have that where it's identified what they do, they're military leaders. Just kind of some kind of interesting correlation.
Okay. Wow. This is intriguing. This is awesome. So, guys, let us know what you guys think in the comments below. Haters gonna hate, and it ain't gonna change. But what can change is your understanding of the unscientific nature of their criticisms. Is that what we could say? Or
I would just say there's archaeological evidence for names in the Book of Mormon in the Levant, which is what we would hope to find.
Okay, if it were true, and if it were not indeed what the most cynical would say.
And as importantly, these are not meaning you've picked out ones that aren't like obvious would have been available biblically, right? In the Bible.
Yeah.
So these are
whether it's a hypochoristic of something like there's some unique features here that is properly rendering and just is a perfect match in the archaeological record. Yeah.
Okay, this is awesome. This is great. Guys, if you haven't yet, go to wardradio.com, get some merch. You can buy a really cool Ward Radio hat there. We've got the Veteran of the War in Heaven hat. And also, we got hoodies. We got hoodies in the house now. Some new hoodies if you want to be able to sport our merch on campus or with your family and friends. And as always, for this and more, please make sure you check us out at wardradio.com. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Please make sure that you like and you share and you subscribe. Also, a big shout out for the debate we got coming up between Rod Meldrum and Luke Hansen on December 3rd in Vineyard, Utah. Go to wardradio.com for tickets to that. Also, if you want to contribute, please check us out on Zelle, Venmo, or the Cash App. If you want to sign up for Ward Radio News, please also go to wardradio.com. And last but not least, make sure you check out scripturenotes.com. Everybody has to read their scriptures every day, and there's no better way to read your scriptures than through scripturenotes.com. Either way, it's been real and it's been fun. It's been real fun. We'll see you guys in the next program.